Ida, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you, Burak?
I am awesome. Thank you very much. So, what inspired you and your brother to start Silo Team?
Oh, that's a great question. It's a long story, actually. But what inspired us from the beginning was that my brother and my co-founder, he was working with scaling large tech teams around the world, and he was so frustrated in how the onboarding process was working. Because he felt that everything was failing. It was total chaos, zero efficiency. There was no structure, and so on. And he actually thought that he was the only, like, the problem was about him and he was the problem. But then when he started talking to people in his network, it turns out that he was not alone in feeling this frustration. So he started sketching on a solution and then looped me in for some serious research. And I think we now have spoken to more than 400 tech teams globally. And it turns out that the problem was so much bigger than just the onboarding being a total mess, and that the problem is way bigger, that we will go into a bit later, I guess. But that was the inspiration for us starting Silo Team, because we found a problem. There was a gap in the market. We had a very, very good solution for it, and we had a team with the commercial side and the technical side. So it's one plus one equals two, right? And that's how we started Silo Team.
Tell us about the solution. What specific solution do you offer to your customers?
So, to start, we are focusing on revolutionizing technical on and offboarding by basically streamlining these critical processes. So we make sure that new developers, they are productive and seamlessly integrated from the very beginning. But this is just the very beginning focus of Silo Team. So looking ahead, our like long-term vision is to expand this into a full spectrum platform that covers the entire developer lifecycle from start to finish, and by leveraging AI to, for example, organize essential knowledge and automate key workflows. So I know that you know this, Burak, but we have this AI knowledge hub that centralizes technical knowledge, allowing everyone in the tech team to actually have access to vital information, so that you minimize dependency on individual expertise. So we have a clear vision ahead, and our solution is focusing on tackling each pain points that have a negative impact on retention.
Why do you think that it is the right time to build this kind of product?
It's a perfect time to build this kind of product, and our target customer groups are screaming for it at the moment, because it's costing companies globally billions in wasted resources when key personnel leaves. And software developers are arguably business's most important but also costly assets, so you better keep them around. And now with the recent economic downturn, it is now even more important to have them stay around in your company.
Do you think that pandemic has also influence on this remote working, and do you think that it will last along?
So remote working, yes, of course, the pandemic has influenced the remote work, but we are also targeting the people that are working in the office. So it's developers that are freelancers and working remotely, but it's also tech teams working in the office together, because they faces so many critical pain points throughout their developer lifecycle that actually affects and contribute to why they tend to leave the company. But yes, pandemic for sure has a big impact on the current situation.
How do you differentiate from the current competitors and establish a competitive advantage? Who are the direct and indirect competitors do you see in the market?
That's a great question. And the market is for sure heating up. And we see that the indirect competitors will become direct competitors. And the reason for this is the economic downturn that we all are facing right now. But in terms of the competitive landscape, one of our USPs is our comprehensive approach of trying to reduce developer turnover. And this is our solution that simply doesn't exist on the market today. So then we have to take a look at the tools that tech teams are using. And these tools could be, Confluence, Notion, Jira, or even regular Google Docs spreadsheets and so on. So this is actually our competitive landscape. But we see new players jumping in on the market, trying to solve parts of the problem, but only small parts, such as structuring technical documentation. So there's new players popping up.
How do you gather user feedback and improve your product? How many users or customers do you talk with in an average week?
In an average week, a lot, I would say. So in terms of traction, what Silo team has, we are pre-revenue and pre-launch. We're launching just now, but we have hundreds of beta signups globally from, CTOs, engineering managers, engineering leads, and so on. And these are actually the buying personas and the decision makers for our product. And more than that, we have several POC agreements with companies fitting our target customer group, our ICP, but also every pricing tier that we have. So we have a very close connection with each of these companies, and they are providing us with feedback right now during the pilot period. And the feedback has been amazing. Yeah, the feedback tends to vary a lot depending on the size of the company, of course. But so far, so good. We've been very grateful so far because all of the users that we have, they are inbounds. And also we have luckily received a 100% conversion rate going into all of these POC agreements. So for me, as a selling person at company, that's the best result that you can get, because this really shows that they are screaming for a solution. There is a problem, and it is a must tool to have.
The team, how have you built out the Silo team over the couple of years? What roles have you hired for? And what does it look like to work with your brother? What are the difficulties and also advantages?
So I'm going to start with the second question, working with my brother, because a lot of people tend to ask that question a lot because it's quite unusual, I would say. But me and my brother, we're super lucky in that matter, because we are more than just siblings, we are best friends. We are basically twins. We hang out now for work, but also after work a lot. But we also chose completely different professional careers. So he went in 100% for the technical side, and I went in 100% for the commercial side. So now when we are working together, we are never overlapping each other, because I have my expertise and he has his expertise. And we've been working together before. So for me, I would say I'm super lucky to be able to work with my brother. And we tend to joke about it, but we have 31 years of conflict management training, or whatever you call it. So that's in our favor. In terms of the team, so we have a very small team. We are small but mighty, and we will continue to have a small but very focused team. So we have our CTO Serge, who joined us now a couple of months ago. And then we have 2 developers as well. And moving forward, we are increasing the tech team with 2 other people, and also the commercial side with 1 person as well. So we are growing. So we will be up, I would say, 7 people in just a couple of months.
So you officially announced the first round. How much did you raise? What was the investment round? Raising the funding look like? Is it easy to find investment in these economic conditions?
So we raised 1.16 million euros. So it was a pre-seed round. And we have more than you, Burak, who's an amazing investor, but also Pitch Drive and Fuel, were the 2 leading investors, together with Genesis from Greece and a couple of angels. And, raising a investment round in this climate is it's a bit difficult. It is a journey, and it's been a journey for me and Rasmus as well. But a journey full of it's been an education. We learned so much from doing it. But I would say that, first of all, that developer turnover, it is a very recognized challenge among so many different industries. So this was the first thing, and I believe that what really convinced the investors joining the investment round was that we were actually providing a comprehensive approach of reducing this developer turnover, was filling a gap in the market that was not filled yet. And hopefully the founders behind Silo Team as well.
Great. What have been your biggest lessons or surprises as a founder so far?
Oh, great question. I
What
would
did you learn
say,
since you begin this journey?
I would say, first of all, to have patience. That you need to be patient. Like that, it will not go as fast as you might want it to go. So you need to have that patience with you. But another thing is for sure resilience. That was a lesson because when starting a company, you will have up and downs all the way in your journey, but you can't stick to the downs. You have to push back and start doing it again. You can just like sit, think, get feedback, and then start doing it again. To bounce back, I would say, is the biggest lesson. And also, you have to be what is it called? The animal chameleon. The animal who is always like adapting. That's a thing you need to do when starting a company. You have to be flexible and adaptable. Yeah, so we are walking around as chameleons here.
How do you define success for yourself and for the Silo team?
uh, I would say you have to put yourself on the market as a company to let the world know that we are here. And to do that, we participated, as you know, in Slash 100, the pitching competition that they have. We were part of the semifinal. We've been going on for other commercial events, such as Tech Chill, as we spoke about before, and also She Loves Tech, which is the world's largest network for female founders. And participating in competitions and commercial events like this very much puts Silo Team on the market. But then, the team, of course, behind Silo Team is what builds Silo Team and what makes Silo Team continue to grow. So that is our success that we are super proud of, is the team that we have put together and that has created the company.
Tell me about the event experiences. So you joined, participated lots of events, and also the winner of Tech Chill. How many investors did you meet? What was the output of these efforts?
Well, first of all, for sure, the investor side of it, when we were going into the pre-seed funding, that was an opportunity for us to actually meet the investors and to show them that, hey, we are here now, and come talk to us. So that was very, what do you say, like credible. So we won She Loves Tech Nordics back in the autumn, and then the semifinal in Slush. That was when we were doing the pre-seed. So then we met investors, but also not only investors. There were so many beta signups going on during these events because there's a lot of developers, CTOs, engineering managers, and so on these events because it is tech events. So when I've had so many potential customers coming up to me and asking more about the product and that they wanna use it at their company, they wanna express their difficulties that they have, that they are facing day to day in their company and so on. So it is two sides of it: the investor side, but also the customer side.
How would you describe the startup environment in Sweden? What are some key benefits or advantages?
Ooh. I would say so. We have a very large entrepreneurial or startup ecosystem here in the Nordics. I would say that it is for us, for Silo team, the ecosystem and the network that is here in the Nordics has helped us very much. So we participated in the Sting Accelerator program here in Stockholm, Sweden, and that was an amazing step for us because they were our first believers. They were our first supporters, and that's something that you need in the beginning. You need people to very much support and believe in what you're building. So they helped us, and they continue to give us support. They have an amazing team at Sting, incredible mentors. Our mentors were Fredrik Rosengren and Cecilia Bratt, and they still are continue giving us support whenever we need it. But then there is a big ecosystem when it comes to the trends that are going on right now in Nordics in terms of startup. Everything green, sustainability, green tech, and so on. So you can see a lot of accelerators and incubators that are focused on green tech, which is very awesome. So yeah, the ecosystem is big here.
You mentioned about the network that helped you, but what are the other networks or startup communities are you a part of, or how these kinds of startup communities and networks emerged in Sweden?
Besides Sting, which is, I would say, our biggest network here in Sweden, I also want to point out that Slush has been incredible support for us as well. But that's not in Sweden, that's in Finland, in Helsinki. But when we participated in Slush 100 and were among the semi-finalists there, we had so much support and a big network working around all of us companies. And that helped us a lot after, before, during Slush, and so on. And it's incredible as well to meet other founders, to talk to other founders. What are their challenges that they are facing today, and how are they solving it? And get tips and tricks from people in the same position as you. So that's a network I highly recommend for everyone to join.
Have you experienced any notable failures or setbacks? I know, in the beginning of your journey, let's say this part of your journey. So do you have any failures or setbacks? What lessons did you learn from them?
It goes up and down a lot every day, every minute. You face something that you might, before starting a startup, could be something challenging. But I would say that I talked about this before as well, but the patience. You have to be patient. You might want to run super, super fast, but you have to keep that patient, because you have to, the expression of saying, quality before quantity. That's something you have to think about here as well. If you run too fast and let's say you build your product in 1 month or 2 months, that's not defensibility as well in your company, because what's keeping the other people to build the same product if it's so easy to build that product as well. So you have to have patience, but you also have to have the team that supports one another. And now when we're starting our own company, we can actually choose who is going to work for us and together with us. And we are very much supporters among very small team that we have today, but we support one another. And whenever we have something that is challenging or something like that, we support one another. And also the focus. You have to remember to focus on the things that you have to prioritize. Don't do the things that you actually don't need to do, or you can prioritize them down the line. You have to focus.
What message would you like to give yourself for the 5 years later? I mean, when you look back and watch this video 5 years later, so give a message to yourself.
Ooh, I remember I did this in school once, when you wrote a letter and you couldn't open it
That's right.
before graduation. I would say to myself, be yourself, continue being yourself, and you know what's right. Keep pushing. Yeah, I don't know if that sounded super weird, but keep on going.
What are some books you are reading lately?
So at the moment, I'm reading a very famous book called Atomic Habits. I haven't read it before, and the only reason for this was basically, when you're on an airport and you go to the bookshop. I always do this when I'm at the airport, and the number one book that the Swedish airport Arlanda had was Atomic Habits. And I started reading it. I'm not done with it, but it's super good. So far, so good. I'm going around here in Sweden and recommending it to everyone I'm talking to. But it's all about making small changes and how the small changes can have a huge impact in the long term. And I love that way I love the way he's writing, how simple it is, because it is simple. But if you start reading a book that is like super complicated, then you're gonna put it away. But he's doing it super simple, so that's a book.
How do you handle ups and downs? How do you motivate yourself every day?
Routines is super important for me. So you need to have routine. You need to have a balance in your life. You need to have a balance between work, eating, working out, and so on, because all of them, they come together. So routines is super important. Also, my co-founder, my brother, is a big support. I hope that I'm the same support to him as well. But yeah, I would say those two things: routines and support.
How do you deal with uncertainty and make tough decisions with imperfect information?
Going back to prioritize, I would say you have to prioritize. Is it urgent to do it now? How important is it to the company right now? Can you do it later? And delegate as well. Can someone else in your team do it? Do you have to do it yourself? But you have to make a decision. Like now I've been part of founding teams before, never as the lead founder. But that has taught me a lot as well. But now, as a lead founder, you have to very much make those decisions. So you just have to do it. Like Nike say, just do it, or whatever their slogan is.
What is the difference being a part of the team and also founding a team?
Founding a team, then it comes a lot of responsibility, for sure. And you're responsible for your team. You're responsible for the company, how it's growing, how it's progressing, and so on. So that's the main difference. But it's about scaling up and growing the company, and I've been doing that before. So in that sense, it's the same thing. You have to have your focus on the right thing. You have to prioritize. Once again, I'm gonna continue saying prioritize. But the main difference is that with starting a company comes a lot of responsibilities towards your team, towards your investors, towards your customers, and that's super important.
What keeps awake at night these days, especially what problems do you think that
Ooh.
are more important? You have
Mm,
already raised funding and the funding round has been closed now. Do you
yeah,
have other
exactly.
challenges?
Yeah, but yeah, we have funding now, but now there's a lot of work to do as well. So we are not safe because in the future we need to grow and create revenue and have going back to the responsibility. We have a responsibility for you and other investors as well. So what's keeping me up at night? Whoa. Yeah, but you always have to think about what can happen. Like, there is a word for it. I can't set the word in English right now, but you have to be proactive. Maybe it's proactive. Like you have,
Mhm.
because things can happen in the world, in the city, in the company. Sudden things can happen, and then you need to be proactive and have a solution for it. before it even happens. So that's something that can keep me up at night. You're laying in bed, you're doing your checklist, up, and you're doing like, what if this happened? Okay, then I do like this, check, and then you're moving on to the next checklist. So that can keep me up at night.
Ida, thank you very much. It was great to talk with you today. And I wish you great success in the entrepreneurship journey.
Thank you so much, Burak. It's always so nice to talk with you.